thanks for joining us here at Book Blather. If you're new here, I'm Dave, this is Olive, and we mostly talk about books. So, we have another book haul to talk to you about today. So, as you may know if you've been around, our new favorite used bookstore is not so new anymore. It was one that we discovered by my daughter's college. So, every time we go up there to pick her up or drop her off, we almost always make a quick stop there, or not so quick. And so, the last one that we put up was, I guess, a few months ago now, and we have been there a couple times since then. But we fell down on the video recording. So we have a couple pickups from there to tell you about, and so I figured I thought maybe we'd lump them all together, but then maybe I just keep them separate and just show you the trip by trip because people like short videos anyway. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to show you the first trip that we took there, which is now probably almost 2 months ago now. But we had a good and a nice variety of pickups there. So let me jump into it. So the last one, we had told the story about how we had walked in at just the right time, and they told us it just happened to be when somebody unloaded like their mother's like old horror collection, and so there was like some paperback from hell stuff and everything there. And so we had a huge pile of stuff, and we put some back, and then we got home and regretted it. So we said when we go next time we're up there, we're going to go back and we're going to check to see what's left, and we'll get them. So unfortunately, we went back. Most of the ones that we had put back were all gone. So shame on us. Shame on me. You weren't there. Shame on me. But we did pick up two that were still there. So the first one, it was Strange Seed by T.M. Wright. And so we thought this was actually a paperback. I mean, it is a paperback from hell, but we thought it was one of the like official paperbacks from hell from Grady Hendrix's Paperbacks from Hell volume. But we just looked through it, and it wasn't in there. I could have sworn it was in there. But anyway, it sounds neat. It's about a woman that moves. She's newly married and has a new home. And so they move there, and it's like, I think it's like a rundown place like that's by the woods. And her husband starts acting strange, and then things start happening strange by the house. I think there's the woods behind her house become like a place, like abandoned children seem to congregate there or something, and then are they really abandoned and are they really children and all that. So I don't know, I haven't read it yet. That's all I know about it, but it sounded cool. And then the other one that we got that was still there, left with the horror stuff, was The Pet by Charles L. Grant. I don't really know anything about this one, except, I think it's a kid that's like, has a hard time with school, and then there's this legend of this howler that comes to town. I guess the howler comes. He has an experience with the howler, and so I don't know what else. But I just know this is a embossed cover. Check that out. I don't know if you can see that there, but anyway, very wicked cover. So we got that. That was really the only two that were left that we really had any interest in, or that looked cool to us. So we did pick up a number of other things. A few more fiction ones that we picked up this, Dimensions and Miracles by Robert Sheckley. So we got this because Gareth, our good buddy Gareth over Book Songs and Other Magic, talks a lot about Robert Sheckley. He really likes Robert Sheckley. And so this is supposed to be, comedic sci-fi. This guy, he wins this intergalactic sweepstakes prize that I guess they even know it was in. And so it's some thing. I don't know if it's this creature on the front or something, but it's something that I think talks incessantly but can transform into all these different things, so he can go on this great adventure, and I guess he goes on this funny great adventure. So that's all I know, but it looked really cool, and Gareth's always talking about Robert Sheckley, so we like funny, we don't end up reading too much funny science fiction, but we do like it. Like we recently read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which we had never read before, which was funny, and we had a good time with it. And I don't know why we don't read more comedic horror, but anyway. Then we picked up this. We had never heard of this. This is Morlock Night by K.W. Jeter. No idea if this is any good. Never heard anything about this, but we picked this up because it just looked interesting, because if you're a sci-fi fan at all, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, one of the oldest and most famous, best science fiction novels of all time. And in that story, if you don't know the story, our hero, in his time machine goes to the far, far distant future. And in the far, far distant future, humanity has evolved into basically two separate subspecies. There's the Morlocks, which are not very nice, like these sort of underground, violent race. And then there's what are they called? The Eloi? Do you remember? The Eloi? Eloi? Whatever. Which are very peace loving, gentle, but very weak, very attractive, subspecies. And so, like, the Morlock hunt the Eloi, or however you pronounce their name. Anyway, so this is a story. It's obviously not by H.G. Wells. It's by somebody else. And this is supposedly what happens, when the time machine goes back into the future. This is a story of what happens with that time machine then. And I guess the Morlocks take it and take control of the time machine, and they come back to London, I guess it is. But, they come back to modern day England, where our hero was from. And I assume wreak some crazy havoc, because the Morlocks were not nice. So, never heard of this. Sounded neat. And, it's a little sort of sequel, I guess, of the, great sci-fi novel Time Machine, The Time Machine, which arguably, in my opinion, was bested by, again, not an official sequel, but The Time Ships by Stephen Baxter. One of the best sci-fi novels that I've ever read, and a lot of people haven't heard of, but it's pretty much a bona fide sequel to The Time Machine. But anyway, so couldn't resist picking this up. Okay, then we had picked up in that last video, we mentioned that we had a number of times we had been looking at this series of books, this Well of Souls series by Jack Chalker. And we had kept looking at it. Every time it looked interesting, and finally we're like, just get it. I don't know if we're ever going to read it or not, but they're like $1.50 or something. Yeah, $1.50. So just get them. And so we did. And when we talked about them, Janice knew all about Jack Chalker, and she had read some Jack Chalker, and she said that she actually liked the Dancing Gods series better. So we checked to see if they had that this time when we went, and sure enough they did. This is the first book in that series, The River of Dancing Gods. So I don't really know much about it other than Janice said it's good, and that's good enough for us, right? So that's why we picked that up. And then we got a couple nonfiction. So we've been reading more nonfiction lately, and in particular, sort of based on everything that's been happening in America and stuff, history and commentary that's sort of related to that, more of like what you may call a political or government, views of things. And so there was a number that we had on our list, on our little private Amazon list that we keep of things that we're going to get. And there was a number on there, and so we went and peeked at that section, and sure enough, 3 of the ones that we had on our list were all there at great prices, and so all hardcovers. So we got them. So the first one is Twilight of Democracy: The Seductive Lure of Authoritarianism, Anne Applebaum. And so it's what it sounds like. It's about why is authoritarianism alluring, and why does it continue to attract people throughout history, including today in what's happening in modern day America, and why are people drawn to this? And so Anne Applebaum is very respected writer and academic. So she is a staff writer for The Atlantic. So this is a magazine. If you're interested in commentary on everything that's going on today, and in particular in a historical context, this is a great magazine if you haven't heard of this, The Atlantic. So not just for the magazine, as you can see, this is the latest issue that just came out. This came like a week ago, and that's the January 6th attack you see on the cover, and you can see the byline there that the Donald Trump wants you to forget this happened. So this one obviously is about January 6th and things that have happened since January 6th. All different articles in it, but this is not a great magazine, even just for the commentary. I hate to even call it a magazine because it's not like Time magazine. This is very intelligent journalism in magazine form. But what's great about it, if you have a subscription to this, it's not just to this magazine. What's even better is there's an app. And so you have access to the, so you have the app, and there's writings every day, super current on everything that's like just happened that the day before, So a lot of very short articles, and many of the articles converted into audio. So I listen to a lot of them in the car, and I mean these are things that like just happened, like in the last couple of days. So it's really good. So you can have constant access to very intellectual commentary on a lot of things going on everywhere. And so and anyway, that was a long sidetrack. So Anne Applebaum is a staff writer for that. She's she's a historian and a great writer, and she is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize actually for, I think it's called Gulag, the History. She won the Pulitzer Prize for that book. So Gulag a History, or Gulag the History, something like that. Anyway, so she's a great writer. So we wanted to get this, which they had, and then we also on our list was another book that she wrote. This was 2020, I think. This is Autocracy Inc., The Dictators Who Want to Run the World. And Applebaum wrote this, I think, in 2024 or something. This hasn't been out that long. And this one is about, again, what it sounds like. This is about how a lot of the individuals that are controlling things now are not even so much government based, not even so much like a nation, like a head of state of a particular nation. They're like just, this says it the best. Today's autocracies, she shows, are supported by a web of kleptocratic financial structures, surveillance technologies, and professional propagandists who operate beyond their own borders. So it gives you a little bit insight into the people that are actually running things right now, having access to everybody's information and having access to all the money and controlling all the money and all that kind of stuff, and all the new technologies and how much is controlled and driven by new technologies. So I was interested in this book as well. We recently read and reviewed on the channel a book, The Contrarian, which is about Peter Thiel, who is one of those guys. He is all of those things. He has tons of money, tons of dangerous technology, and a lot of political influence. So that was a pretty fascinating book, actually, but that was just about him. So anyway, I think this book is more of like a story about those kind of people. So, and it's not that long. Neither of these is that long, a couple hundred pages each. So that's why we got those. And then we got this one, which we're very excited to get, which was on our list, Democracy Awakening, Notes on the State of America by Heather Cox Richardson. Now, Heather Cox Richardson, she might be the most insightful U.S. academic right now on issues like this. This was, when did she put this out, though? 2023. And yeah, it's where America's going as of 2023. But Heather Cox Richardson is, if you are looking for, maybe even if you're not so much into, you don't want to read about it, but you just want to learn about it and you want to listen to it. Heather Cox Richardson, she's taught at a number of major universities. She's now at Boston, but she has a daily newsletter called Letters from an American, that I think is daily on Substack. I don't read that, but it's like, because of this, she has one of the biggest Substack accounts, period. But she is also on, I will link her channel below, she's also on social media, and she's also on YouTube constantly, often one day after another. And she's a historian by training, and she offers a lot of incredibly insightful commentary on all the things that are happening today, and in the U.S. in particular, in a historical context. And she's very, she approaches the things very objectively. Now, obviously, she has a particular take on it because there are things that are happening, and so if you're educated on that stuff, it's hard to have, a different take on if you're, educated and paying attention on everything that's happening. But she is kind of just genuinely very, very interested about this stuff. And so if I would highly, I'll like her channel below if you don't know her, in case you're curious. Just go watch one of her videos. I myself have really, really learned a lot from her. I just listen, if I'm cooking some dinner, I'll listen to it in one of her videos. And it's very, very educational, very, very insightful, and helps put all of these things that are happening in sort of a larger and historical context, So anyway, too much about that. So we were very excited about that book. So that is everything we got on that trip. I guess that's enough for today. We'll leave it there, right? Do you have anything else you wanted to add? I mean, you weren't even there, so you really didn't have a say in any of the books. So you don't have anything else to add on this matter, right? No? No. Okay. So we'll save the other ones for another video, and we'll review those very soon, or we'll show you those very soon. So as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We will see you again very soon, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.